What is powerlifting? That's what we're going to discuss today, or at least briefly touch on today as I walk down to the gym for my second session of the day. 2 days, training volume, but that's another conversation. This coming year in February, I'm going to be doing my first powerlifting competition, USAPL Winter War over in Frederick at Hometown Barbell. And so what better time than to talk about powerlifting with my first competition a few months out. For starters, am I a powerlifter? I'm a personal trainer with a emphasis on strength because I truly want to be a strength coach because strength is never a weakness and strength is just, fantastic. Strength tells you if your muscles are actually growing naturally, and also your muscle mass is one of your biggest determining factors in how long you're going to live, and it's just great for fighting osteoporosis. Whole bunch of benefits to having a bunch of muscles. Nonetheless, powerlifting. Powerlifting is a strength competition. Powerlifting is a strength competition where you are going to be tested on 3 core barbell lifts: your squat, bench, and deadlift. And when you're being tested, you're going to be classified by your age, sex, and weight class. Why did I just blink out there? It's going to be classified by your age, sex, and weight class. So you're going to be competing against people around your same age, your same sex, and then around your same weight. I think the weight classes jump about 8, 12 pounds each. Like I said, I'm preparing for my first meet, so I don't know the weight classes by head. But nonetheless, you're competing against people who weigh the same as you, so you're not going to be competing against someone who's, half your weight or 2 times your weight, because that wouldn't be fair. And when you're doing all these lifts, you're doing all these lifts to preset standards. So you're going to be squatting to a predetermined depth, and you're going to be benching with specific standards. And the meet that I'm going to be doing is going to be under the USAPL, but all different powerlifting federations have different standards. So if you're planning on doing some powerlifting yourself and you want to know the standards for your federation, definitely Google that. What else about powerlifting? Powerlifting is not to be confused with Olympic weightlifting. So powerlifting, you're going to be doing squat, bench, deadlift. Olympic weightlifting, on the other hand, you're just going to be doing your clean and jerk and snatch. So Olympic weightlifting, 2 lifts, 2 very different lifts, though they do use the barbell. And then powerlifting going to be 3 lifts, also with a barbell, but way different. Though me being a strength coach, personal trainer, I do both. Do I have a preference? Dangerous question. I will say Olympic weightlifting, you don't need a strong bench press as an Olympic weightlifter, but other than the bench press, you would want a strong strict press and push press, and you are still going to want a really strong squat and deadlift. So there's tons of overlap between Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting. I would say Olympic weightlifting, the international cousin, the OG, is a decent bit more difficult. And I might have a little bias there, but there's not as much infrastructure for competing in Olympic weightlifting in the United States as powerlifting. And if you want to earn your chops, prove yourself as a strength coach, you're going to have to compete somehow, some way. So powerlifting it is. If you watched this far, thank you for watching. I'm that Fidunk, Baltimore City personal trainer. I'm currently in Baltimore right now, walking to the gym to get that powerlifting training in. But if you need any help with your training, whether that be in person, virtual, don't hesitate to email me, DM me, whatever. But do subscribe to this channel right here. This is the hub of natural fitness. We're trying to make fitness freaking natural and just honest again, because fitness is out of control with the fake naturals and everyone trying to sell you something that doesn't work. But tap in, join the Fit Fam, subscribe here. Let's keep getting to it. I've actually already arrived at the gym, but it's a beautiful evening, so I'm going to keep walking and talking about powerlifting. So why would you powerlift? Why would you strength train? Well, strength training is critical, especially if you're a natural athlete, because if you're not growing stronger, you're likely not growing muscles, but you really do want to grow muscles for quite a few different reasons. I already touched on the fact that muscle mass is going to be great fighting against osteoporosis and determining how long you're actually going to live in life. But if you're someone that, maybe is a higher calorie human being, you're trying to lose weight, well, you're going to burn more calories at resting if you have more muscle mass versus not having muscle mass. And a great way to get muscle mass is to get strong. And a great way to track that you're getting strong is powerlifting. Why is that? Well, if you're trying to track your strength across bodybuilding lifts, there's a trillion bodybuilding machines. So, you could keep track of, your 1 rep max on your dumbbell fly, 1 rep max on cable flies, 1 rep max on, every single little machine. there is out there. Or you could just simplify it into your squat, bench, deadlift, and then just track the maxes there, and then just do your accessory work accordingly. That way you are still tracking your strength, but it's a much more simple system. You just have 3 main lifts that you're tracking, and then your accessory work you're not going to fall off of, because if you know that your squat is lacking, well, hey, let's get some more leg press, hamstring curls in there. If you know your bench is lacking, hey, let's get some more incline bench, more dumbbell bench. All this stuff is accessory work. And I think a lot of people get caught up in training and losing progress in the fact that they put, the sides as the main course. Like, don't track your freaking dumbbell curl as like, hey, I got to get a bigger dumbbell curl. Track things like your deadlift and like your weighted pull-up. Not that the weighted pull-up is a powerlifting lift, but yes, sir. But not that the weighted pull-up is a powerlifting lift, but you do want to only have like your core lifts versus tracking 15 different baby lifts across the board. And your main lifts, if you want to make it simple, just go SBD, squat, bench, deadlift, which is powerlifting. So that's why someone like myself, who I don't actually identify as a power lifter, but I am someone who weight trains, I am a weight lifter, and my personal training business has an emphasis on strength training. So that's why I would powerlift, and I am powerlifting. That's also why you should powerlift too, or you should just incorporate, these core barbell movements into your training. That way you can better track, am I actually making progress, versus trying to track your progress, your strength progress, against all these bodybuilding machines. Because you walk into a gym, you see 40 machines. How hard would it be to have a notebook of your exact numbers on all 40 of these machines versus just knowing your numbers on 3 core barbell lifts? Now, you guys tell me, have you guys ever powerlifted before? Do you guys recreationally do any powerlifting lifts? I know a lot of lifters already squat, bench, and deadlift, so let me know. It's loud out here, but let me know. What are your numbers in the comments section? Do you have a favorite powerlifting lift? For myself, I think my favorite powerlifting lift has to be the back squat. But all the other lifts are rapidly, growing in favor, and I actually have a love for all 3 of them kind of evenly. But the back squat, I think, is taking the top spot. I have a lot of love for these lifts for different reasons. The deadlift, I feel like, is a great lift for just emptying the gas tank. If you've got, pent up energy, maybe you're angry, maybe you're just going through something, and you got energy, you just got to explode, go deadlift. Bench press, the bench press is so hard to make progress on the bench press. It is a very frustrating lift, but the frustration of the bench press makes that progress, when you do make it, all the much better. And then the back squat actually takes both of those 2 things, whereas it's hard to make progress and it's really hard just on your body's central nervous system once you perform it. So the back squat, I think, is the perfect pinnacle of the 2. Hard to make progress, really empty the tank. If you're going through something, you can go freaking back squat, and when you make that progress on your back squat, you know how hard you had to work to get that progress. So for that reason, I'm going to say back squat, my number 1 favorite powerlifting lift. Beyond that, the other 2, I have a lot of love for it and about evenly spread out. Powerlifting as a whole, just getting started, first meet coming up. Make sure you're subscribed to see the results, how it goes. I'm working really hard, and I'm also sharing all my little training tidbits, tips, anything that's helpful that helps me along the way in my powerlifting career. That way the fit fam can be helped too. Nonetheless, love talking to you guys always. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.